My name, Armin Meiwes. I was born 1961. I'm computer engineer from Rothenburg, Germany. I killed a man, slaughtered him and ate him. Since then, he is always with me.
Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me today. My name is Travis Fenn, and this is The Shadows, the Patreon podcast for Beneath the Shadows. Thank you so much for being here. That intro was just a little bit of what we're going to be diving into today. Armin Meiwes and his crazy crimes in Germany. I guess crime, or I guess a couple of crimes. I don't know. It's hard to say exactly, but we're going to be diving into it today. We're going to dig the details out of the shadows, and we're going to, have some fun with it. A lot of information to present, so we're going to get right into it after one real quick thing. Please take some time to rate and review the show, and go and follow the Instagram and TikTok that are out there. Beneath the Shadows podcast on Instagram and TikTok. You're obviously following the Patreon, so thank you for being here. And rate and review, send some email updates. Let's get going. Alrighty, so we're going to talk about Armin Meiwes. The story of Armin Meiwes, infamously dubbed the Rodenburg Cannibal and the Master Butcher, is among the most extraordinary and unsettling criminal cases of the early 21st century. It really it caught a lot of people in a weird way. It was one of those things that not many people were expecting, and some information that came out around it was pretty fucking crazy. In 2001, Meiwes meticulously planned and carried out the killing and consumption of a willing participant, Bernd Jürgen Brandes. The case was unprecedented in its consensual nature and the horrifyingly methodical execution of the act, raising questions about the limits of personal autonomy, morality, and law. As Armin said in that little beginning section, he was born in 1961, born on December 1st, 1961 in Kassel, Germany, the only child of Waltraud, I think is how you say his mom, Waltraud, his mom's name. She was born in 1919, had him when she was, fairly old, I guess, for that. She was 42, which is crazy. And she would live until 1999. We'll get into that. And his father's name was Detlef Meiwes, Detlef, Detlef. And he had two older half-brothers, quite a bit older, about 10, 15 years older than him, from his father's previous relationship with another woman. Meiwes' early life was marred by instability and isolation. When his father left the family when Meiwes was 8, it left a profound void in his life. His father kind of just like dip potato chipped, got the fuck on out. His older half-brothers got some jobs somewhere, and his dad had nothing to tend to anymore. Obviously, Armin didn't mean a whole lot to him, so he got the fuck on out of there. When his father left, his mother became the dominant figure in the household, described as controlling and overbearing. She restricted Meiwes' social interactions, contributing to his reclusive personality. Out of loneliness, Armin created an imaginary friend called Frankie, with whom he could talk to any time. Frankie gave him a sort of comfort in his youth and was actually someone who would listen to him and his problems, something his mother never did. Growing up, Meiwes developed a vivid and macabre imagination. He would fantasize about having a younger brother that he could keep forever by consuming him. So he had very cannibalistic fantasies from a young age. Probably not a great sign that things are going well, that things are doing good in their mental. Their mental state is probably already pretty fucked. A fantasy he would later admit was rooted in the feelings of abandonment and partially related to the fairy tale Hansel and Gretel. Hansel and Gretel, the German fairy tale collected by the Brothers Grimm and published in 1812. It's also known as Little Stepbrother and Little Stepsister. Hansel and Gretel are siblings who are abandoned in a forest and fall into the hands of a witch who lives in a bread, cake, and sugar house. The witch, who has cannibalistic intentions, intends to fatten Hansel before eventually eating him. However, Gretel saves her brother by pushing the witch into her own oven, killing her, and escaping with the witch's treasure. Set in medieval Germany, Hansel and Gretel has been adapted into various forms of media, including the opera Hansel und Gretel by Engelbert Humperdinck. Not Humperdinck. Hansel und Gretel by Engelbert Humperdinck was first performed in 1893. The thoughts that Armin had intensified over the years, fueled by his isolation and exposure to extreme fetish material on early internet forums. So he had a really crazy mental state, obviously. He was very sadistic. It seemed like already he was very knotted into things that were very taboo almost. Very extreme fetish from a young age, thoughts of cannibalism from a young age, things that are a little bit more taboo for a lot of the world. He was very fascinated by them. And we're going to take a minute. We're going to take a minute to explore his fascination, a little bit about him, a little bit about the crime, and a little bit about the relationship he had with his mother before her death. We're going to look at an article by Standard from the UK, standard.co.uk. It's called "The Boy Who Became a Cannibal." We're going to take look at the majority of it, a lot of it. It's a really good article, has a lot of information, and some of the best information that I could find about this subject. So let's take a look at it. The many rooms in the half-timbered mansion that was Armin Meiwes' family home have their own names. Devised by his late mother, there is a room called Morning Dew, another called Sunlight. All the names are evocative of the delightful countryside that surrounds the old house. Almost all. The engraved brass plaque on Armin's room at the end of the hallway reads starkly, "Child's Room." So, good old, not even Armin's room, just child. He's just a child. The court in Kassel, Germany, where Meiwes is standing for trial. So this was around it says it's from 2012, but he had two trials and they both took place before that. So I'm not sure. Maybe it was updated in 2012. So it sounds like it was from when his trial was taking place. One of the two that did happen. I think it's the second one actually, because I think they mentioned his first sentence on this. We'll get to it. Meiwes is standing trial for killing, butchering, and eating another man, has been transfixed by a story of cannibalism and homicidal ritual, which I'm about to perform on my cat if he keeps bothering me, and maybe the dog too if he keeps fucking around today. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Obviously, I hope I'm kidding on that, but. They get crazy sometimes, and they really try to ruin things while recording. So, the details of the dissection and consumption of 43-year-old computer expert Bernd Jürgen Brandes. I might do that every time. Bernd, say Bernd before. It's Bernd. It's Bernd though, like Bear N-D. Bernd. Would be barely believable. Whether were it not for the fact that Meiwes, 42, made a video recording of the whole thing. What, it might be asked, does it take to create such a monster? The trial resumes today after a holiday adjournment to consider precisely this question. Expert witnesses, including psychiatrists, will attempt to find an answer in the workings of Meiwes' mind. But for those who apparently knew this normal man, friends and neighbors, the best clues may be found. The best clues may be found among the 43 rooms of the creaking old manor house where Meiwes carried out his crime. For here, amid broken toys, souvenirs, and dusty photographs, is the history of Meiwes' relationship with his mother, Valtrud, a history that cannot be separated from the chain of events that led to the eating of Brandes. His mother's room is a mess. He has her clothes piled high on the bed. Her dressing table is scattered with her things, mirror, brushes. He has boarded up the window with plywood. No daylight enters. Nearby, on a bed in one of the many guest rooms, under a pink coverlet, he has placed a doll's head between two pillows. This head used to stand on his mother's dressing table. She placed her wig upon it each night before going to bed. So it was like a mannequin wig, or a mannequin head, I mean. So like it says a doll's head. I'm thinking something small, but it's like a mannequin head. When the police pulled back the cover, they found Meiwes had drawn a beard on the doll. Why is this just written so weird? UK, what the fuck? They found Meiwes had drawn a beard on the doll's head chin. On the doll's chin. They could just... Alright, in another room, she preserved his favorite toys, a train set, a model of a German castle, but on the table where they stand, he had placed the bleached skull of a cow. He was a mother's boy, neighbor Jorg Monkermoyer said. She was his idol. He was always trying to win her approval. He spent most of his time looking after her. Yet there appears to have been a sick hatred among his devotion. But why? Armin Meiwes was born into an affluent, Jesus Christ, family whose emotional and financial decline is mirrored in the flaking, crumbling manor house that stands in overgrown grounds in the pretty village of Rothenburg in central Germany. At the age of 8, all the men in Armin's life disappeared. One brother, Wolfgang, became a priest in Berlin. Another, Engelbert, moved away permanently, and his father left his mother. So like I said, both his half-brothers and his dad all left in a very short period. She was 40 when Armin was born, so maybe somewhere around 40, 42, somewhere in that area, because I have 42, I believe. She was 40 when Armin was born. His mother married 3 times, but her third husband, like his predecessors, it seemed, could not cope with her overbearing and domineering personality. He left her, but the young Armin had no choice. In the early 1970s, when his school friends were wearing jeans, she insisted that he carry on wearing traditional lederhosen shorts. When he was a young man, one of the rare guests at the house witnessed her ordering him to bed because the clock had struck 10. Meiwes was to recall later that he began creating cannibal fantasies during his adolescence, when he and his mother lived alone together in the huge manor. He collected material on the crimes of Fritz Harman, the vampire of Hanover, who killed at least 26 men in the 1920s. Harman butchered his victims and drank their blood. He was beheaded at a public execution in 1925. So yeah, early 20s. Then Meiwes bought a Barbie doll and dismembered it, keeping the parts in a locked safe so his mother would not find them. She knew nothing of his fantasies and his increasing doubts about his sexuality. When he took a girl on a date, she accompanied them, sitting in the back of the car. Shit, that would be so terrible. Fucking embarrassing. Yeah, let's go on a date, blah, blah, blah. Cool that my mom's there? Oh, yeah, that's fine. So, like, what do you want to do? Oh, let's go and get some dinner, or let's go drive around. Your mom's gonna go drive around with us? Yeah. He had a fiancée, Petra Zinhauser, but after 9 months they parted because, as he later recalled, both she and his mother were too strong-willed. Whenever they met, he said, it was like going from a shower to a storm. According to villagers in Rothenburg, the relationship between mother and son was more complex than it might have seemed at first. While he appeared to be the devoted son and she the possessive mother, there were bizarre tensions below the surface. At times she raged against him, called him names, and pronounced him worthless. Her experiences of men had left her bitter, her neighbors said, and she took it out on the only person possible, her last remaining son. It's actually her only son, I believe. The other 2 boys were from other women, but I guess they were maybe like sons to her. He was like the outsider, the family runt, said Kirsten Spang, who lives near the old mansion. He was a lonely, introverted boy. but he always forgave his mother for her outbursts, and although he joined the army, his work allowed him to continue living at home. On a rare excursion from Rothenburg, she accompanied him and they shared a double room. One of his neighbors asked him once why he never married. He replied, "Perhaps I will one day, but only when mother is dead." Crazy. A lot of control over his life and over what he did and what he saw as the things he wanted. On September 2nd of 1999, Valtrid Meiwes did die. She had suffered from cancer for some time, and Meiwes had cared for her. She was 77, but he was 37, he was 37. From that moment, alone in the echoing old house, he began to turn his shocking fantasies into reality. At one point, he fashioned pieces of old pork into the shape of a penis and ate it. Just, one of those fantasies that he had. So he's just saying, let me shape my pork chop into the shape of a penis and, a little in, out, and then a munch. There was, he admitted, an overwhelming desire to eat a person, to consume someone utterly. It was linked inextricably to increasingly strong homosexual tendencies. He pursued gay relationships among his army buddies, but also frequented bars used by prostitutes. While his mother was alive, he appeared unwilling to relinquish his last hold on heterosexuality. Can't fucking talk, man. I'm just killing me. But after her death, his thoughts turned exclusively to gay sex, murder, dismemberment, and cannibalism. Meiwes was Oedipal, Oedipal, in his love for his mother. The Berlin psychiatrist Christiane Lang said, "He wanted her love above all, and after that the love of his brothers. By denying normal relationships and feelings, he was forever slipping closer to an abyss from which it would be impossible to pull back." The internet became the instrument by which Meiwes was finally toppled into darkness. He had developed a fascination for computers as a young man, and once planned to make his fortune by setting up a computer school in the manor house. He could never raise the money to see the scheme through, however, and one room of the house still contains the broken and jumbled remains of a half-dozen machines. His own computer was used to surf internet sites set up and frequented by fetishists and sadists. In 2000, almost exactly a year after his mother's death, he posted a message on a chat room message board visited by those interested in cannibalism. Using his internet pseudonym Frankie, the name of his imaginary imaginary friend that he had as a little kid, he wrote, "Seeking well-built man, 18 to 30 years old, for slaughter." The message was seen by Bernd Brandes, a highly paid computer engineer from Berlin. He was 42 at the time, but took 7 years off his age to make himself more attractive for Meiwes' purposes. The emails between the two men are now evidence in the court case, but where such messages usually contain endearments and expressions of longing for kisses and caresses, the exchanges between them revel in sadism and torture. Meiwes sent Brandes pictures of his teeth, promising to use them to bite his tongue out. Meiwes' own website is closed now, so he set up his own website dedicated to cannibalism. I didn't even know that. But others devoted to cannibalism and necrophilia thrive. He himself estimated that at least 800 individuals in Germany had, like him, killed and eaten people. At a glance at the internet suggests he may be right. The message boards are filled with earnest appeals for people to offer themselves a cannibal fare. One, posted a few weeks ago and still current, reads, "If anyone knows where I can obtain a toe from a female 18 to 35 years old, please email me." An email address is appended. This was the culture behind the coming together of Meiwes and Brandes. When Brandes arrived in Rothenburg on March 9, 2001, he was impatient to be killed, Meiwes has claimed. His testimony details their meeting, and he showed police the room where it took place. It is a chamber beyond the imagination of even the most creative horror writer. In one corner stands a wooden cage in which Meiwes placed young men whom, he said, were sexual playthings, but not victims of cannibalism. There is an iron bedstead with a blue floral pattern mattress on which lies a rope and a leather harness. This is where Brandis lay, dosed with 2 bottles of night nurse and alcohol. Night nurse, it's like a sleeping medication of some sort. Dosed with 2 bottles of night nurse and alcohol when Meiwes cut off his penis. Cut off his penis is actually the biggest thing that he wanted Meiwes to do, Brandis. Meiwes flambéed it with seasoning, and they tried to eat it together. They were unable to eat it. And initially, before just cutting off his penis, Brandis actually wanted Meiwes to bite off his penis, which did not work. We'll get into it more in just a minute, but then Brandis was killed with a knife thrust to his throat. He slit his throat. His body was butchered, parceled, and frozen to make meals that lasted for months to come. If, as Meiwes claims, Brandis was a willing participant in this, then question to be asked, why? It may be futile to try and apply general accepted logic and sentiments in this case, but Brandis always had an unhappy childhood. In 1963, on a family holiday, his mother was killed when her car hit a tree. God damn. His father, a well-respected doctor, refused to accept that it was an accident. He told the young Bernd his mother killed herself. Damn. The father's like, no, that bitch fucking, it was not an accident. She meant to do this. She didn't want anything to do with his family. The boy was 5. Bernd was 5 at the time. He was brought up by childminders. I don't know, childmind? Yeah, I don't know what that is. He was brought up by childminders and later a stepmother and seemed a normal child. He excelled at school, became a valued expert at the Siemens Group, and he found a girlfriend named only as Ariane B. But he told his friends he was bisexual, and he found himself drawn to the cannibal websites. Don't know if he told his friends he was drawn to the cannibal websites or just that he was bisexual. But there is a deficit of self-respect and understanding of true love among such people. The eminent psychiatrist Professor Andreas Marneros of the Halle-Wittenberg University said, there is almost a sexual element. As the evidence continues to unfold in Castle, there is, inevitably, a mix of shock, wonder, and revulsion. But surely the most chilling of all elements in this case is the fact that whatever Armin Meiwes and Bernd Brandis did behind locked doors, to the outside world, they acted and appeared just like the rest of us. And so that takes us out of that article. That's the end of that article. A lot of information in there, a lot of cool looks into his childhood with his mother, Waltraud. And we're going to get back to the main episode script here. So we were talking about the dark fantasies that Meiwes had as a child and into his adulthood. The isolation that he faced and how his exposure to extreme fetish material on early internet forums really shaped him growing up and through the time that his mother passed in 1999. Despite these dark fantasies, Meiwes led an outwardly normal life. Like I had just mentioned, they both seemed pretty normal from an outward appearance. He worked as a computer technician, earning the trust of his colleagues, who described him as polite and unassuming. Beneath this veneer, however, lay a deeply lonely individual who sought companionship through increasingly extreme means. Bernd Jürgen Brandis? Yeah, it's Brandis. Bernd Jürgen Brandis, born in 1958, was an accomplished engineer from Berlin. Unlike Meiwes, Brandis was outwardly confident and successful. though he harbored deep-seated psychological struggles. Friends and colleagues described him as enigmatic. Friends and colleagues described him as enigmatic. Friends and colleagues described him as enigmatic, with fucking want to punch someone right now. Holy shit, I can't talk. Friends and colleagues described him as enigmatic, with few close relationships. Brandis had long held masochistic fantasies, including desires for self-mutilation and being consumed. These fantasies, coupled with a deteriorating mental state, led him to seek out someone willing to fulfill them. His interactions with Meiwes stemmed from a mutual desire to make the respective fantasies a reality. The two made a videotape when they met on March 9th, 2001, in Meiwes' home, in the small town of Wusterfeld, west of Rodenburg. The events of that evening were meticulously recorded by Meiwes on video, providing a chilling insight into their actions. Their previous conversations kind of went like this. There's a transcript that was presented from the 6th of March 2001, a transcript of an online chat between Bernd Brandis and Armin Meiwes, included in an interview with a cannibal, The Secret Life of a Cannibal from Rotenburg by Gunther Stampf, published in Germany. This is after Brandis replied to Meiwes' online posting. Many other people had looked at the advertisement or had responded, but backed out. Meiwes did not attempt to force them to do anything against their will, so if they said they didn't want to, he said, cool, get the fuck out of here then. Meiwes would videotape himself slaughtering Brandis just 3 days after this interaction I'm about to read. He confessed to the act and was convicted of manslaughter in 2004. The ruling was overturned in 2006 on the grounds that the sentence of 8.5 years was too lenient. We'll get to his retrial in just a minute. This was translated from German by Gina Moore. So it starts with Brandis, and kind of goes back and forth between him and Armin. Hello. Hi, Brandis. There's two different names. So Brandis is Cator. I'm going to say Cator just because it's easier for me. Cator. And Armin is Anthrophagus. 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 Antro, I'm going to call him Antro. Cator and Antro. So Cator is Brandis and Antro is Armin. Cator starts, hello? Hi, Cator. So this is Armin replying. Hi, Cator. What do you do professionally that you are up so late at night? I can't sleep well anymore because of our meeting. So they already talked previously, and Brandis is pretty excited for their meeting, so he can't sleep. Armin replies, that's a sensible reason. Yesterday I was incredibly tired. It was a stressful day. I'm in telecommunications, replied Brandis. Oh, that sounds interesting. Then Brandis says, I believe you, for some reason, which I don't understand, but, so a couple of his answers are kind of late. Like that one was kind of late to the first question. I think he says, I believe you to, it was a stressful day about the previous one. Okay. Armin says, I'm looking forward to our meeting. It will definitely be really cool. I want it to be. I hope it'll be really cool. Are you setting an alarm clock? It's only a few days until March 9th. Still, I would rather have met you yesterday and felt your teeth. One can't have everything. There's still some time before you can really feel my teeth. I hardly know what to expect. Have you slaughtered a man before? Brandis asks him. That's wild. Unfortunately, only in my dreams. But in my thoughts, I do it every night. Holy shit, Armin said back to him. Wow. So I'm the first? You have eaten human flesh before, or you haven't? No, you don't exactly find it in the supermarket, unfortunately. How do you know if it will taste good to you, or that the blood won't make you sick? I'm readying myself with my dreams. Once I was so excited, I grabbed a needle and drew my own blood so that I could drink it. Jeez, Armin, you're fucking psycho. He's such a weird, fucking creepy dude. And your blood, it tasted good to you? It was quite tasty. Once I was drilling some holes, and the drill slipped right into my hand. That was a real treat. He drilled a hole in himself on accident. He's like, oh, that was, oof. Blood is the juice of life. It contains everything a person needs for nutrition. No, it does not. Armin, you stupid cocksucker. Ah, you're such a creep, such a vampire-ish dude. Then I hope you won't wilt, that you can really see it through without a problem. To bite into your penis will certainly not be easy. Living flesh is somewhat more resistant than fried, but one thing is certain. Our dream will be fulfilled. Their dual dream will be happening, so don't worry about it. But there's not as much in there as there is in muscle, Brandis replied. Yeah, but the penis is principally a spongy material filled with blood. For both our sakes, I hope that's true. I hope you have also already thought about what's to be done with the rest, Brandis said. Fulfilling the dream shouldn't become a nightmare for you. No one will know where I've disappeared to. So he's like, after you eat my penis and parts of me or whatever, what are you going to, hopefully you have a thought for the rest. After you're dead, I'll take you out and expertly carve you up. And he fucking does. Let me tell you what. He does. Except for a pair of knees and some fleshy trash, skin, cartilage, and tendons, there won't be much left of you. There will be a good bit. Like the knees. I hope you have a good hiding place for them, Brandis says. I'll dry out the knees and grind them up soon after. Holy jeez. Okay, they're as good as fertilizer. I heard that once. I see you've thought about it. Good. Sounds like I'm the first. This cat is going to be the death of me. Let me tell you what. And you won't be the last, hopefully. I've already considered catching a young person from the street, but I would rather kill only those who want to be killed. Armin's like, yeah, I've already thought about snatching a child off the street to fucking eat him and kill him and shit, so maybe I'll do that, but I'd rather just kill the ones who want to be killed. Brandis says, that also doesn't sound bad. But yeah, seeing as it's not so totally legal, this is, in my eyes, better than yanking someone directly off the street. Exactly. I'd do it if it were legal. Armin's just psycho. I mean, Brandis obviously had his own mental issues going on, but Armin's just a fucking psychopath. So it's sadistic psychopath. The pair explicitly discussed the plan before proceeding, with Brandis signing a contract agreeing to be eaten and killed. The pair explicitly discussed the plan before proceeding, with Brandis signing a contract agreeing to be killed and eaten. The consensual nature of the act would later become a pivotal point in the legal proceedings. The video that they recorded shows Meiwes amputating Brandis's penis with his agreement, and the two men attempting to eat it together. Before doing so, Brandis swallowed about 20 sleeping pills, those night nurse or whatever the hell it was called, and a bottle of cough syrup, likely causing an effect of slowed breathing and extreme tiredness. Brandis initially insisted that Meiwes should attempt to bite his penis off, as I mentioned prior. That did not work because it's too spongy and, flexible and shit. A lot of tissue in there. And ultimately, Meiwes used a knife to remove it. Brandis apparently tried to eat some of his own penis raw, but could not. So he cut off his fucking dick. He's like, let me nibble on that thing. Because it was too tough and, as he put it, chewy. So yeah, too much tissue, too much sponginess to it. Meiwes then fried the penis in a pan with salt, pepper, wine, and garlic. Then he fried it with some of Brandis's fat, so he cut off some of his fat too. Like, yeah, let's fry it with some fat. It makes things so good. By then, though, it was too burnt to be consumed. I don't know how alive Brandis was really, or conscious Brandis was at this point anymore, but Meiwes did not want to consume it because it was too burnt at this point. So, Meiwes is just a shitty cook, too. Shitty dude, shitty cook. Fucking, let's get rid of him. He then chopped the penis up into chunks and fed it to his dog. Shit. He's like, it's too burnt for me. The dog would love this, though. Come here, little Poochie. Yeah. There's fresh new food for you. I got a treat. Who wants a treat? And they're like, fucking just loving it. You know, they'll eat cat shit. They'll definitely eat a dude's dick that's been cooked up in salt, pepper, garlic. Ooh, that's a treat for a dog. Dog would love that shit. My dogs would eat that shit for sure. According to court officials who saw the video, which has not been made public, Brandis may already have been too weakened from blood loss at this point to eat any of his own penis. Yeah, like I said. Meiwes then ran Brandis a bath before going to read a Star Trek book. Yeah, good old Star Trek. I need to get some reading in before or while this man just dies in a bathtub. He would check on Brandis every 15 minutes, during which time Brandis lay bleeding in the bath, drifting in and out of consciousness. After a long hesitation and a prayer asking whether God or the devil would help him and if God would forgive him, Meiwes killed Brandis by stabbing him in the throat. He says he slit his throat, so I'm going to say he slit it. Everything that I see for articles was saying he stabbed him in the throat. He then cut off his head and hung the body on a meat hook. He would cut out the organs and cut the body in half before Jesus, this dude. Wow. Meiwes killed Brandis by stabbing him in the throat, cutting his throat, after which he hung the body on a meat hook. After he cut off the dude's fucking head, he then took out all of his organs and cut the body in half, and then washed both sides before sectioning this dude out into portions that he could put into the freezer. Wow. The incident was recorded on a 4-hour videotape, which has never been released to the public due to its gruesome contents, obviously. There are some screenshots out there that you can find, but there's no credibility whether they are actually from the said video or not. Meiwes dismembered and ate the corpse over the next 10 months. So he dismembered it pretty rapidly afterwards. Like I said, froze a lot of it, and then ate it over the next 10 months, often preparing it as an elaborate meal seasoned with spices and paired with his best wine, storing body parts in his freezer under pizza boxes and consuming up to 20 kilograms of the flesh. So over 40 pounds, about 44 pounds of the flesh was consumed. According to prosecutors, Meiwes committed the act for sexual pleasure. In December 2002, Meiwes posted another ad seeking a new victim. He wanted to do it all over again. Let's eat someone else. I need new flesh. This meat is starting to taste all the same. I'm sick of it. I got some pork. I need some bacon. Still some pork, I know, but different kind. Got some pork. Need some beef. I don't know what he's looking for, but this time his activities caught the attention of a forum user, a college student who reported him to authorities. When police searched Meiwes' home, they discovered frozen body parts and the incriminating video, which left no doubt about the crime. The trial of Armin Meiwes began in 2004 and garnered international attention for its unprecedented nature. Meiwes was diagnosed as a schizoid personality, but deemed fit to stand trial. Meiwes argued that the act was consensual, presenting the video of... Jeez, he's presenting this own video. I mean, I get it, because he does, he consents to it in the video, but, you're going to show this video. Wow, you're putting that into evidence. I mean, it's probably already in evidence for the police, but wow. Meiwes argued that the act was consensual, presenting the video as evidence. However, the court ruled that Brandis's consent did not absolve Meiwes of culpability, as killing another person, even with their agreement, remained illegal under German law. Still illegal. Big debate on that kind of shit. A lot of the world, whether someone can, have an assisted suicide type of thing go on. Usually only accepted for those who are in circumstances where their life will be ending soon anyway, whether it's a terminal illness, something of that nature. Usually there are a couple of states that do allow it. But definitely a very controversial topic. On January 30th of 2004, Meiwes was convicted of manslaughter and sentenced to 8 years and 6 months, 8.5 years in prison. The case attracted considerable media attention. However, prosecutors appealed, arguing that the act was premeditated murder. In April of 2005, a German court ordered a retrial after prosecutors appealed Meiwes' sentence, arguing that he should be convicted of murder because he killed for sexual gratification, a motive proved by having his videotaped the crime. The court ruled that the original trial had ignored the significance of the video in disproving the argument that Meiwes only killed because he had been asked to kill. At his retrial, a psychologist stated that Meiwes could reoffend, as he still had fantasies about devouring the flesh of young people. And honestly, he kind of like... There's an interview with 60 Minutes Australia, which is where that clip from the beginning came from, and he knows what he did was wrong, but I don't think he regrets doing it. He seems very okay with everything that he has done. On May 10th, 2006, a court in Frankfurt convicted Meiwes of murder and sentenced him to life imprisonment. As of 2020, Meiwes has been allowed to go outside of the prison, Jesus Christ, for supervised excursions in disguise around town in a different state. So he's allowed to go out of the state, so out of wherever the fuck he's at in Germany, and go and, put on a disguise and go do shit with himself in prison. Meiwes probably not so much. I mean, maybe he's allowed to again, but I mean, maybe he was allowed to, and then COVID hit, and they're like, maybe not though. In prison, Meiwes works at the laundry and often attends church service. He's also became a vegetarian, from what I read, since he's been in prison. Psychiatrists, jeez, that just makes me laugh, I don't know why. Psychiatrists who examined Meiwes noted his deep-seated loneliness and emotional immaturity. His fantasies stemmed from a desire for permanent connection, which he sought to achieve through the ultimate act of consumption. Brandis, by contrast, was described as self-destructive, driven by masochistic tendencies, and a desire to escape his inner turmoil. The Meiwes case sparked intense media coverage and public fascination, raising questions about morality, consent, and the role of the internet in enabling extreme behavior. When speaking to a German newspaper, Meiwes admitted to cannibalizing Brandis and expressed regret for his actions. He added he wanted to write a biography with the aim of deterring anyone who wanted to follow in his footsteps. Websites dedicated to Meiwes started appearing after his 2002 arrest, with people advertising for willing victims. They should go for treatment so it doesn't escalate like it did with me, said Meiwes. Numerous films, documentaries, and books have been inspired by the case, including the controversial movie Grim Love and various true crime analyses. The case also influenced popular culture, with references appearing in music and television. The case highlighted the existence of online subcultures that cater to extreme and taboo fantasies. It also underscored the challenges of regulating such spaces and the potential for individuals to act on dangerous impulses. Can consent justify actions that are otherwise morally and legally unacceptable? The Meiwes case challenges the notion of personal autonomy and the boundaries of ethical behavior. The case exposed a gap in German law, which did not explicitly criminalize cannibalism. Meiwes was prosecuted under murder and desecration of a corpse statutes, but the lack of specific legislation raised concern about legal loopholes. The case also brought attention to the intersection of mental health and criminal responsibility, with both Meiwes and Brandis exhibiting behaviors rooted in psychological distress. Since his incarceration, Meiwes has expressed remorse for his actions and claimed to be reformed. He has reportedly become a vegetarian, like I said, and works in the prison library. Despite this, his case remains a chilling reminder of the extremes of human behavior. The Armin Meiwes case is one of the most disturbing and thought-provoking crimes in modern history, in the 21st century at least, the beginning of it. I don't know, there's been a lot that's happened since then, though. It continues to captivate and disturb audiences, not only for the gruesome details, but for the ethical, legal, and psychological questions it raises. It serves as a dark exploration of human loneliness, the search for connection, and the consequences of unbridled fantasies. So that's Armin Meiwes, that's Bernd Brandis. That's the man who ate another man. He posted an ad on the internet in the early 2000s. He got another man that wanted to be eaten. It's crazy to think, after hearing something like this, the amount of people that are out there that want to be eaten, want someone to consume their flesh. It's very bizarre, very odd, very strange. And I'm sure there are so many people out there, which is even crazier to me. Anyway, that's, Armin Meiwes and Bernd Brandis and the horrific crime that Armin committed. After Armin got Brandis to meet with him on March 9th of 2001, he would first cut off his penis and try to consume it with Brandis before he died. He would die officially by Armin stabbing him or cutting his throat, his neck area, and this would obviously cause him to bleed out. He was, before that, bleeding out in a tub, just waiting there while Armin read some Star Trek, because you got to get that fucking Star Trek reading in. So he then went on over the next 10 months, Armin did, to consume over 40 pounds of Bernd's body and his tissue, his flesh. An unfortunate part of it, though, Armin was unable to consume Bernd's penis because he overcooked it. Shitty fucking dude, shitty fucking chef, terrible dude, terrible, terrible crime. Don't really feel horrible for Bernd, you know, he wanted it, I guess, so it's hard to feel bad for him getting something that he wanted, but I just don't understand that concept. It's one of those things I've never thought of or struggled with, or even, you know, talked to anyone in a weird fucking way about. You know, cannibalism and being cannibalized is not something that usually comes up in my head too often. But that's Armin Meiwes and Bernd Brandis, and we're gonna dip on out with some more quotes and some more audio from this little interview, this 60 Minutes Australia little piece that they have, and I hope you all have a great day. Just keep an eye out for some weirdos on the fucking internet, because they're out there. A lot of nice people out there, too. A lot of good people on the internet, but a lot of fucking weirdos, so keep your eye out for them. Stay safe, and peace out, my shadow people.
Speaking through a translator in his native tongue of German, he describes the ideal surroundings of his childhood.
We'd build tree houses, play cops and robbers and Indians. Everything that was fun. Or we'd chop down trees. It was lovely, really.
But Meiwes's carefree existence was shattered when, without warning, his father deserted him and his mother. It was a critical turning point. The young Meiwes retreated into a fantasy world and invented imaginary friends to keep him company. But it wasn't enough. He wanted to feel more connected to these friends, that they should be part of him. And so began his deadly obsession.
And then I thought that if they were to become a part of me, I'd have to eat them.
When he hit puberty, he had the same crushes as other boys did, but he found it difficult to form relationships. And these crushes developed into something more, the desire to eat someone so that they've always with him.
But even in his fantasies, Meiwes wanted his victim to be a willing partner.
He had to go into this inner connection willingly. It wouldn't have been possible any other way. He had to practically sacrifice his life so that he could carry on living in me. That was how I saw it anyway.
Wow.